Alright, this is Linton the Swarm Vassal, Bellator light heavyweight contender, and you're watching the MMA Crypt Fighting Talk Show.
As fight fans, it's Gregory Stoney watching the Crypt Fighting Talk Show. On today's show, we'll be speaking with James, the Juggernaut Mulheron. James is set to take on Mark, the Hannah Bear, Bellator 158. That takes place July 16th, 2016. With that, I'd like to welcome into the show James Mulheron. Welcome to the show, James.
Hiya. You alright?
Not too bad, James. Right, James, we're going to start off the interview with some pretty important piece of news that broke about 2-3 days ago. The sad passing of Kimbo Slice. Obviously, he was headlining your fight card against Mark the Hannah Bear. What's your thoughts on Kimbo Slice passing there, first and foremost?
It's a tragedy, really. I remember sort of watching him on YouTube and when he was in the backyard fighting, like seeing. It's an absolute shame. I was surprised that the card still went ahead. To be honest with you, I thought maybe they might have pulled it. I suppose, sorry?
Was that a worrying few days for you there? Did you get confirmation too from Scott Coker, etc., that the card was going ahead still?
Yeah, it wasn't like this. I mean, it wasn't like a concern, you know. Like poor Kimbo had died. It was more like it was just like hold your breath and just like I was just thinking, oh, maybe it's just out of total respect they would have stopped the call, but no, they hadn't. So I think sort of it's like a nice memorial for him, and it's like a nice like respectful thing for him. You know what I mean? I think they'll do like a nice memorial for him on the night. So I mean, it's just hopefully, I mean, all his family and whoever and watch the card, and hopefully it'll be like a nice memorial for them or something.
Was you willing to step up if needed be to take on James Thompson if they offered? Would you have accepted that fight possibly, the main event?
Yeah. I mean, that was questions about. That was one of the questions I was thinking in my head. Maybe we're going to ask Mark. He's fought on Bellator before. We're asking him to step up and fight him because there's like a few rankings where like Mark's ranked higher than me. I'm ranked higher than him. Another one. So basically, I thought that they would have, but maybe it's because like they both are not really well renowned within the US sort of MMA scene. They wanted a bigger name so they could sell the fight in Bellator on the like pay-per-view or Spike over that side of the water. So I'm not really shocked that they haven't asked with. But like I say, would have been nice. But this fight with me and Mark's been scheduled to happen like twice now. It's been like scheduled to fight, and then he got injured, he hurt his back, and then the next one was meant to something about Bama, and that never come off. So it's been a long time coming. So I'm glad that this fight's still going ahead between me and him. You know, maybe it's like a thing between see who's the best in the UK now. So we'll get to the bottom of it at July 16th.
Well, you mentioned Bama there. Obviously, you've not fought for Bama or Cage Warriors. You made your name on their Made for the Cage scene, become their champion. I think it was the British champion and the European champion, so I believe. Obviously, you come off a loss to Ruben Wolf. I think you broke your leg in the process. Can you confirm if you broke your leg in that fight?
Yes, I did. See, when I fell, the mats obviously, well, the mattresses, but like the mat's quite slippery. I made for the cage. It's not like a canvas. It's more like a plasticky. It's almost like a rubbery canvas. When I slipped, my foot rotated like almost like 180 degrees as I fell, and that's the fibula on the side of my leg, the tibula, one of the that's broke, snapped, and the doctor said the way it broke, they weren't surprised I didn't break the other side of my leg as well, the way it fell. So it was just a shame. Never know if I hadn't broke my leg, and never know what might happen. But I broke it, and Ruben got the win. So it's all healed now.
Was that on the finish there, James? Because I was watching the fight, and you went down. Was that on the finish when he caught you? I think it was a straight right or something, or maybe overhand right, and you went down. Was that when you broke your leg? Right, okay.
That's when I broke my leg. Yeah. And then when I've got all fours, and like if I put my leg out, and I knew then, like straight away, I could sense it just wasn't right. But all Mark's saying, he's got the win. Obviously, I'd love to avenge me loss, but maybe it's one day down the future I might get there. But at the minute, Mark's in my target.
Well, the point I was trying to make and the question I was going to ask before I asked about Broken Leg was, obviously, you've got a big reputation in the UK. Obviously, you're high up on the rankings, but you sort of skipped the ladder in terms of going to Bellator. Normally, a lot of fighters, like, they normally transgress to BAMMA or Cage Warriors, then they move on to the States. You sort of skipped the ladder there. Was you surprised, or did you sort of know that Bellator was coming in for you? Sort of maybe put feelers out for your manager to ask them when they come over, when they was coming over to London once you found that out?
Yeah, well, what it was, the reason I fought on Mr. K for so long, like I would have ventured anyway to fight anybody, but Dale, like he's a great promoter, and he basically every fight that any amount that any heavyweight would want, he was willing to pay to get me to fight these people. So like I know people say, oh well, you've never fought a show, you never fought a BAMMA. I know because Dale was willing to pay me a good wage. I had a good crowd behind us, and like, you know, he was willing to. Some shows might not be willing to pay top heavyweight, like what we're asking for. Like when I fought Stav, I know he wanted a big wage, and I know any other promotion maybe might not have like got that fight happen. You know, just after the amount of like wages that he wanted. That was only like my fourth pro fight, I think, and he was 15-2 at the time. So it was he done well to get that fight, and it just progressed from there really, and then after that it almost turned into where like people wanted to come up to the northeast after that, and like just maybe stab. You know, this was early. It was saying. I think it was I fought in November. I think it was roughly about the time of then he told us that there might be like rumours of Bellator coming over here, and well I thought, oh that'd be great. He said, oh we'll see if we can get you on that card. And I was optimistic. I thought, well hopefully, like you know what I mean, it might come off, but I wasn't gonna hold my breath. And here we are today on the card, and everything's sorted. So I'm glad, but I'm just gonna take my stride. I know I've done enough within the fight career to validate for fighting on a big show like this, you know what I mean? I think I've done enough. I mean, like if you ask most people about the heavyweight division, and I think you know my name will always crop up. So a big show like this is not really it's a stepping stone for us, which I'm ready to take.
Well, you are correct. The Made for the Cage promoter is brought in the best heavyweights for you. You beat all the best heavyweights in the UK, and I'm sort of glad in a way because you're sort of someone I've been raving about for a while. Obviously, a guy, Aaron Pearson at MMA Crypt, he lived in the northeast, not far from you, and he was raving about you. That's how I found out about you. And I was sort of a little bit upset that BAMMA didn't try and get you sooner, or they didn't manage to get you on a card sooner. But you pulled it off. You managed to fight the best heavyweights, beat the best heavyweights in the UK. And I like it that Bellator have actually come over and actually sniffed you out. Instead of just going to, oh, who's the best promotion in the UK? BAMMA, Cage Warriors, right, who'd they got? Instead, they've actually looked further afield than that and managed to pull out one of the best heavyweights in the UK. And finally, you versus Matt Godbeer. It was either you or Ruben Wolf who was going to face anyway down the line, and I'm glad that you got your chance, especially at Bellator. Speaking of Bellator, let's go into the deals of the contracts here. Personally, I think you should be fighting for the BAMMA belt on Bellator. That would be my idea. He's the champion right now, so that's what I'll go with. But can you talk us about the deal first and foremost? Is it a one-fight deal just for Bellator 158? Is there a clause in there that if you win at Bellator 158, it's be more fights? Or is it a multi-fight deal that you got with Bellator?
No, I think what Bellator have done, they've just offered like a one-fight contract. Most, I know a good few MMA UK-based fighters who are fighting on the show have just got like a one-fight contract. Depending on, I think, what happens after the results of these fights, I think that's when they'll take it on board, and I think they'll renew it for a 3-fight contract. But at the minute, I'm just under a 1-fight contract.
Does this sort of spur you on to get a victory? Because if you do defeat Mark Leander Godbeer, you can either face him possibly down the line at BAMMA for the belt. You beat the number one guy, heavyweight guy in the UK. That's the incentive there. But also, you do have a potential future fight at Bellator if you do win. So is that a much-added incentive for you going into this fight?
Yeah, I mean, every time I've fought opponents, I've always had like somebody always say, "Oh, a rematch," or you know, I need to fight them again. But I try try and move forward every fight that I get. So, I mean, if I do win on the 16th, I think it'll be more of like a forward process. I think if I win impressively, I think Bellator gives a 3-fight contract, which will be hopefully I'll be able to get like on an American card. So I'd love to progress that way. I wouldn't like to. I wouldn't like to go back and say I was going to fight on Bama, because let's face it, the whole reason I'm on Bellator is Bellator is like the pinnacle of MMA. You've got that in UFC in the world, really, where people are trying to get on. So if I can win and I can get if it offered as a 3-fight contract, I would most definitely look into taking that 3-fight contract with them.
I touched upon your first loss to Ruben Wolf there. Obviously, you broke your leg in the process. Just mentally, how was that for you? Obviously, you suffered your first loss, and you broke your leg in the process. I'll sort of say that a dominating loss would be more devastating to you, but it wasn't a dominating loss. It was sort of a 50-50 fight up until you broke your leg and obviously suffered a TKO loss. But how did you handle all that mentally?
For me, the fight game is a fight game, and you can win or lose. You could go into that ring, and could become the best thing since sliced bread, or you could be the guy that nobody really wants to talk anymore. So, for me, the result was just I take it exactly the same as if I win, if I lost. Just be humble and gracious about it. It was just one of the worst things was I just couldn't train again. I think that's what just bothered is that I couldn't get back training and hopefully get quicker in and eventually lost. It took us 10 months. I just loads of determination. The doctors were saying, "Oh, you'll never be able to fight." 10 months down the line, I was trying to tell them I want to be fighting by November. This happened in March when my leg was broke, and I told the doctors I want to be fighting by November, and they said, "Well, forget about this year. Think about next year and get yourself fit." And I said, "No, I really want to." I couldn't stand just sitting doing nothing, and as well just pigging out and eating, and you just lose a bit of motivation and you let yourself go a little bit. So fighting in the November was such a big thing for us, and it just showed a good bit of determination from myself. But no, I like I say, the loss was just the same as a win. It's a fight game. It's a weight off my shoulders now. I was 8-0. Oh, sorry, I was 7-0 at the time. Number 1 ranked heavyweight in the UK, and I lost. Everybody loses, you know what I mean? So I just take it in my stride and just crack on with the next one.
Well, speaking of determination and injuries, Martin Andegobbe, obviously, he's suffered a few injuries in his career recently, retired a few times. Obviously, a lot of that's down to politics, his manager, etc., promotions. Obviously, Bama's been there for him, but finally he gets his big break. He was set to debut for Rising in the tournament. Become Bama champion. The guy looks really determined right now. He looks like a guy who can't be broken now. You know that some guys can be broken down in the cage here. And right now, I don't see Martin Andegobbe as being a guy who can be broken down in the cage. I think that you either have to outskill him or knock him out. Would you agree with that, or do you think that you can break him down in the cage? Right now, as it stands.
No, definitely. He is. He's a tough fighter. He will take some breaking down. He takes some beating. He's a high class fighter. But like I say, that's the fight that I want. I want to be fighting the likes of Mark Gobbia, where who's people ranting, raving about. He's knocked his last 3 or his 4 opponents out, and I want a fight where I've got to use my brain and outthink them and outstrike them, and you know what I mean. It's just the fight I want. It's perfect. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Well, speaking of breaking him down, he uses a lot of traditional Muay Thai, especially with the kicks as well. It really suits his style here. He uses a lot of step in, step out kicks, step back kicks, chopping up 45-degree angles. If you look at his fighting, if you look at his recent fights, a lot of guys who sort of stay static on the centre line, he can really pick them apart with his kicks and go up high, sort of net kicks, etc. Do you believe mobility and not staying static on the centre line is key in this fight against Martin Andegobbe?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you know yourself. I mean, there's no secret of how to fight. More if you stand there, you're gonna get hurt. Stu Watson showed that. Paul Taylor showed that, and what's his name? Thomas Denham showed that as well. So, like I say, there's no secret of how to fight Mark. It's just got to go with you. Just got to be really clever and just think about the fight. So it'll be an interesting fight. Come fight nice. It'll be brilliant watch for it. I'm trying to just give like the fans and show everyone why we're at the top of the UK, and show the world why like the UK heavyweights should still belong in the UFC. There's no one there at the minute, and hopefully put on a show that just makes everyone think, oh, these UK guys can actually go in the heavyweight division.
Well, let's talk about not staying static on the centre line. Mark, if you look at his Muay Thai, normally they fight on the balls of the feet. Mark's very flat on his feet. I think that's because he likes to use the straight right. And obviously, he mixes up his combination on the feet, uses two strike combinations with the feet. Obviously, he goes in sequences, start building up in sequences. But he doesn't stay on the balls of his feet. Do you believe that if you stay light and loose on the feet, that you can sort of dictate the tempo of the fight and stand up?
Yeah. If you watch me fight, I can move like a middleweight. How fast I can move on the back foot, in and out. I'm fast at that. That's what he's going to be dealing with. Someone who can move like a middleweight. I do believe movement in this fight is key. That's a winner for us.
That sounds like you want to stay long range in this fight. Mark obviously likes to pick his opponent soft there with kicks along range, sort of edge of range. That's his best position. We've seen that you do your best work at long range too. But we've seen Mark in the past. He gets lit up a little bit inside the pocket, close range. What range would you like to establish in this fight, or do you think you can't establish a range in this fight? Do you think you just have to mix it up a lot in the fight?
Like I say, I can fight in the clinch. That's probably where I'm the most strongest. When I'm in the clinch, guys who I've got training with us at the minute, working like in close as well. So like we went a lot myself on their Thai clinch wrestling as well. So it's going to be good. It's going to be a great fight.
Well, speaking of Paul Taylor, when it was announced that you was fighting him, I was thinking, right, the Paul Taylor fight coming to my head. I know you beat Paul Taylor in the past, but just off the height difference, and it just sort of mirrors the Paul Taylor fight. How much have you looked at the Paul Taylor fight, the Mark Godbeer Paul Taylor fight, and how much have you took from that? Obviously, you don't need to tell me what you took from it, but have you took a lot from that fight?
Well, I did take a lot from it, but it's just if you watch the fight, you can clearly see that Paul stands in front of him and basically he doesn't put any pressure on him. He stands at his range, so that's why he gets picked apart, and that's why he lands some heavy shots on Paul. But I think there was one there was a brief incident in the fight where Paul did get in close. He showed a flurry that Mark didn't really like when he was in close. He threw an uppercut. And Mark didn't really like it when he was in the pocket, like you say. Like from Paul's aspect, he done well fighting on like that one split second he did. We didn't do enough of it. I don't know if it was because he wasn't too fit, he wasn't fit enough, or his movement wasn't good enough, or whatever. But this is going to be different. This fight will be different. I'll come to the best I've ever been. I'm fit. Every area of my game at the minute is brilliant. So come fight night, it's just going to I'll let everything show in the cage.
Well, I've been talking a lot about the kicks, and that's mainly because I believe that Mark's going to use a lot of kicks and knees against you. Mainly kicks to the body, kicks to the head, the neck area. Obviously, you got your guard up. He's going to try and test that guard of yours. Are you expecting Mark to use a lot of kicks in the fight due to the height difference, or do you think he'll mix it up with a lot of punches too? Because he has done in the past against previous opponents, he mixes up the punches and kicks. But even some flying knees are coming out of Mark the Godbeer too, which is quite surprising. He's very agile for a big guy. But are you expecting sort of a lot of switch kicks, a lot of kicks to the body and the head?
Yeah. I think he's through all his fights. If you watch all his fights, he did show that switch left head kick. Tries to look for that a lot. And that big right, he always established a good jab. He's got quite a good jab as well. And like I say, he looks for that right hand, that switch left head kick. He's done a few of his fights. So.
Okay, last question. Is there a message for Mark there?
I know he's going to be the best shooter he's ever been, but let's put the best show they've ever seen for a UK heavyweight fight, and see you come fight night.
Okay, before we go, James, I'd like to leave the mic open for you. Any thanks, sponsors, mentions, anything you just want to say to the listeners, viewers, or your fans? Feel free to speak now, James.
Just appreciate everyone who's going to be there, come to support us. All my family, all my friends who've helped me through this training camp. The training partners, Phil, Decker, Daz. The strength and conditioning coach, Stevie and Sean. And we've got, I want to thank Westcott Coating, MAM HVAC Specialist, Smuggling Duds, King Brothers Bricklaying Contractors, Aardvark Electrical Engineers, Fitness 2000, DH Car Sales, Snugfit, Trevor's Arms, H2N Nutrition. Just thank you very much to everyone who's helped sponsor us this fight.
Okay, Crypters, that's a wrap for today's interview with James Mulheron. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you want to check out his fight on the main card, yes, the main card, Bellator 158 against Mark the Hand of God Bear. You can check it out on Spike TV UK for UK viewers, July 16th, and viewers in the States can check it out on Spike TV. But from today's show, Crypters, as always, guys, thank you for watching.